come to my attention that some of you may not be completely up on your grunge rock history. So, for those of you who stuck your fingers in your ears throughout the 90s and bemoaned that culture had come to a screeching halt, I'll be the first to announce to you that not everything was bad. Having spent more than half my life in Seattle, the home of grunge, I learned that while these new millennial musicians were not saying it with words that were culturally normative, they did nevertheless have something important to say. And then in the middle of the 90s, just when Seattle was becoming the nirvana of music, a strange new group arose. And out of all places, they arose out of Chicago. They were not quite grunge, but they were definitely not punk. They were really kind of an alternative to everything that was popular at the time. And that group, the Smashing Pumpkins, became in the forefront of what would become called alternative rock. And like their predecessors from the 1960s and the early 1970s, the Pumpkins came to us with a social message, not just the adolescent angst of punk. One of their hits had a line in it that reflected beautifully what that generation believes. That they saw their parents as people who were financially chained to a job that they hated and emotionally bound by norms that didn't make any sense to them. And the line from that song is, "Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage." That lyric from the Smashing Pumpkins song in 1995 really does a pretty good job of summing up St. Paul's words to the Romans some centuries before. Remember, Paul says, "For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh. For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. Now if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I who do it, but the sin that dwells within me." So in other words, no matter how hard we try, we fail. Despite all of our rage, we're still just all rats in the cage. That music video, all of you can go home tonight and go on this amazing new invention called YouTube, and you can type in the song "Bullet with Butterfly Wings." That was the name of the song. And the video for that song shows this heinous prison work camp in some third world country where the prisoners are trying to climb out of this dirt pit, and every time they get almost to the top of the pit, the guards turn fire hoses on them and knock them back, and they tumble back down the pit. No matter how hard they climbed, as they neared the top, they would get washed back down into that pit. And the youth of the 1990s, that is often how they saw life, and particularly religion. They did not understand the norms and systems to which their parents subscribed. And many of them felt like the boomers, who were supposed to have tuned out and dropped out of society, had in fact sold out. Now, this generation that would later become called the millennials, the generation, by the way, that also spawned the angry rapper Eminem, they felt like a rat in a cage. Despite all of their raging against the system, they seemingly could change nothing because they found out, like their parents before them, that you cannot change a system from outside of it. You have to be part of the system. And I say all of that to say this. This is exactly what Christianity feels like to many unbelievers, and really to a lot of peripheral believers as well. Our religion, for from the outside seems to be full of rules and full of expectations that we can never master. And if one believes that in order to have faith, he has to master all the rules and keep all the laws, then sooner or later, he's going to be that proverbial rat in the cage. He will rage and rage because he will quickly understand that he is in an untenable position, fighting an unwinnable battle. There was actually an experiment done in 1970 from which the Pumpkins probably got their idea for their song. The scientists electrified part of the floor of a rat cage, and the rats learned to jump over the electrified portions. And then they slowly increased the amount of the floor that was electrified. And the rats would jump to and fro, trying to find footing where they wouldn't get shot. But their options became more and more diminished, and soon the entire floor was electrified. And you know what the rats did? Just gave up. They just laid on the floor of the cage and got shot. They didn't care anymore because they had become helpless and hopeless. And then the experimenters slowly reduced the amount of the floor that was electrified until there was no area of the floor that would shock the rats. But you know what the rats did? They just laid there because they'd given up. They remained hopeless. Human beings can be like those rats. They get shock after shock after shock as they try jumping from place to avoid sin, getting caught in situations where there is no good choice, trying to justify whatever it is they did wrong, trying to avoid feeling sinful, and they just give up. But you have to finish St. Paul's speech. He doesn't stop with sin dwelling in him. He finishes with, "Wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord." Jesus delivers us. Jesus comes to us in the gospel and says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." We are not helpless rats in a cage. Yes, we wear the yoke of Christ, but his yoke is easy and his burden is light because he's already paid the price for all of our sin. For every sin we ever commit, he's already paid the price. He's taken the electricity out of our cage so that we can roam freely and fearlessly. And yes, we will continue to strive to live the kind of life that he would want us to live. And we know that the day will come when the cage of this sinful world is far behind us, and we will roam freely and joyfully in paradise. But until that day, Christ is not oblivious to the fact that it is a burden to live as his child in this world. He knows that burden. He knows that burden better than any of us because he took that burden to the cross. He didn't try to change the system from outside. He entered the system fully and completely as one of us. And he paid for all of our condemnation, so that life for us is not full of condemnation and hopelessness, but rather one of joy and love and forgiveness and peace and hope, because he has compassion on us. And because he is not oblivious to the burden, he's given us his word to teach us and to strengthen us. He's given us his very body and blood to empower us for this journey. No one has to be a rat in a cage. In fact, the cage is an illusion created by Satan as he tries to twist God's word to form bars where there are in fact no bars. See, here's the truth. Here's the truth that Satan does not want anyone to know. We can do anything we want. You and I are the heirs to the kingdom. A kingdom that has been bought and paid for and given to us, and we can do anything we want. We are the ones for whom Jesus Christ died, and we are neither trapped nor bound by anyone or anything. Cages are a satanic illusion. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed.